So, with Biden out of the public eye now, as he's getting congratulations from leaders around the world, with a few notable exceptions, the fascist pricks that celebrated Trump's ascension with the help of Russian military intelligence, they are being very quiet, aren't they? But normal people who lead countries around the world, whether they are elected by the people or elected by the parliament or whatever, those people are congratulating Trump because they, stop it, Mike, congratulating Biden because they realize the path on which Trump had placed not just America, but the entire goddamn world. And surprise, surprise, a lot of people outside the Trump orbit don't want to die for fascism. We don't, and we won't. So, entering the third day after the election has been declared, the vast majority of Republicans are not offering the customary statements of goodwill to Biden. That has been standard after American presidential contests. This is why I'm beginning to believe that some sort of evil magic was perpetrated by Trump. Is this a possibility? By Trump and his minions, where they removed from the Republican leadership every vestige, such as it was, of decency, honor, ethical standards, morale. They just somehow, how did this happen? Just sucked it all out with a evacuation ray or something. Just sucked it out of the Republican, every single elected Republican in America. How else would you explain this deference to the orange rat and the refusal to just a common goddamn courtesy of, hey, Joe, congratulations. I mean, he used to be in the parliamentary branch of this government with some of these people. He's worked with them as well as against them. He knows them. They know him. And they don't have the goddamn courtesy and decency to call him up and say, hey, Joe, way to go. What is this hold that Trump has? And we need to pay attention to it, because when Trump is forced out of office, that hold over these people is not going to evaporate. It's going to remain until this orange filth finally kicks off and dies. And maybe not even then. Well, yes, then. Trump is not a magician. Trump is a punk. But I think it's a clear indication of the punk level in elected Republican officials that they continue to defer to him and will not say a goddamn word about his destruction of the very Constitution that these phony-ass Republicans have sworn they respect and uphold. You liars. You filthy liars. Now, some prominent Republican figures, including the Republican Party's only living president, the war criminal George W. Bush. Some of these people have called Biden to wish him well. But 99.9% of Republican elected officials have remained silent. I'm not going to say a word. Because if I congratulate Joe Biden, Trump will aim his death ray at me and my balls will fall off. Because they are 99.9% male, right? Half male. Anyway, Biden, of course, being Biden, and I certainly respect this in him. I could never do this, but he's not responded to Trump's bullshit, Trump's attacks on the result of the election. But Biden's not waiting for any kind of concession. I think Biden understands his opponent better than you and I ever will. I mean, we just hate him. We just want to see him disappear. We just wish that he never would have appeared. But Biden, being a politician for the past, 50 years, half century at least, he knows what Trump is. And he knows that the one thing that drives Trump crazy is to be ignored. That's the reason Trump continued to go after Biden during the campaign, trying to find something, either attacking Biden or attacking his dead son or attacking his living son or attacking his congressional record or attacking Biden's caution about the COVID-19 pandemic, anything, everything that Trump tried to slam onto Biden to make it stick. It just rolled off Biden like so much rolled off Reagan. Remember, they used to call Reagan the Teflon president because nothing would stick to him. Remember? Okay, you're not old enough. I am. But nothing that the Trump monsters tried to lay on Biden stuck. And Biden, except for the last, several weeks of the campaign, especially when Barack Obama came on board, Biden ignored Trump. He was just a piece of shit, a piece of detritus down at the curb. It didn't matter. He soon was going to be gone. And that drove Trump crazy. That's why Trump tried everything, even going after his dead son. Which, again, is no surprise because Trump is an amoral, unethical prick. He has nothing. There's nothing inside him. Nothing. Except his racism and his greed. And his madness, too, the madness of King Donald. So Biden has not responded to Trump's attacks on the result, but he's not waiting for the concession. And like I mentioned yesterday, he unveiled his official transition website. And he's preparing a series of executive orders or actions for his first day in the Oval Office, including the ones that were mentioned during the campaign, which are rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. As weak as it is, at least it's a starting point that should have been put together 40 years ago, but I digress. Biden is also moving aggressively to confront the pandemic. He's also moving to restore labor organizing rights for government workers. All of that stuff is shit that the orange bastard committed against the people of this country. So Biden is trying to unwind Trump's so-called domestic agenda and Biden is to repair the image of the United States in the eyes of the world. Do you remember when Barack Obama was still a candidate and he traveled to Berlin and he traveled to London and where else did he go? There were several global capitals that Obama traveled to, and millions of people turned out to listen to him and applaud him and shout encouragement about this man who was going to be president of the United States. Can you imagine? Trump has been asked by leaders of cities and countries not to come to their city or their country because of the damage that his mere presence causes. God, what have we been through? So, you might say that the silence of these Republican swine is a clear indication that even in defeat, the orange bastard is going to continue that grip on what used to be the Republican Party, is now the American Fascist Party, and the elected leaders. And they are elected. And that's another thing that maybe I can touch on later on this week. The majority of white people who voted this year, a hefty majority, voted for Trump. White people. Had it not been for non-Caucasian people, Trump would be president for a second term. And when I saw that little factoid. I think Ari Melber last night on MSNBC brought that up. That just, it hurt. It scared me and it hurt. The majority of white people who went to the polls voted for a fascist gangster. Folks, that should be the one salient fact of this election that just burns into the brains of people of non-color, of which I am a member. That fact, that's something that we have to take a look at, that the majority of white citizens of this country would vote for someone as foul and corrupt and racist and neo-Nazi as Donald Trump. That is the main shock of this election to me. That right there. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.